Before this video begins, I'd like to give a special thanks to the people on screen for supporting me on Patreon. Hello and welcome to some more Sega GT. This is part 18. Yeah, I really needed to get back to doing this, especially because, well, I haven't done so in a while, and also because the internet is out, so I really could use something to pass the time. So, here we are at Sega GT again, and we're just about ready to start the light car events. And I thought, since the first one is going to require a production car, a regular vehicle with no engine modifications, I thought I'd use one of the best A-class vehicles I have that fits the criteria, at least power-wise, and that is the Audi TT 1.8T Quattro 225 horsepower edition, four-wheel drive. Should be a pretty decent car to use, I suspect. So we're gonna, especially because having that four-wheel drive and that amount of power should definitely work in our favor. Especially because, again, no engine modifications for these events. So, for this event, we have 3 tracks: Night Ground, Sky Peak Hill Reverse, and Snowy Mountain Reverse, with a champion's prize of 30,000. Pole position gets us 1,000, and 3,000 for finishing first in any of the races. So with that, and let's take a look at our grid real quick. We got a CRX, MRS, S13 Sylvia, Polestar, Integra Type R, kind of what I expected. But with that, let's jump right into the action. And yes, you can tell this is live commentary this time around, so this time I made sure my microphone would actually be working. You're gonna also... Oh wow, okay, this does not get a quick start like I thought it would. And you're gonna have to also, like, excuse the sound of my voice. It's still morning, and I've, probably only been up for less than an hour, or close to an hour. So, technically, I'm still trying to wake up a little bit, but, I'm sure doing this should help. Yeah, this car definitely handles good. I did put weight reduction and, like, racing tires on it, so just a bit of a ways to make the car a little bit better, because they only mentioned you can't just put any, like, performance stuff on it, like engine-wise. All right, 39.8. That's easy pole position by almost just a little over 2 seconds over the second place finisher, which was the Integra. Polestar 3rd, Sylvia 4th, CRX 5th, and the MRS last. I'm actually surprised the MRX was at the bottom. I thought that CRX would be the slowest of the bunch, not the MRS. Interesting. I honestly thought the MRS would have been probably around 3rd or whatnot, but it surprises you. Since I'm actually curious, I want to just take a look at the grid real quick, and then I'll get on with the race. I wonder if any of them are special colors. Probably not. Probably just my car. Yeah, they all just look. Yep. Whoops, I did not want me to pause that. Yeah, they all just look about regular cars. Maybe that armrest is the one I unlocked from the time trials from the previous part. Yeah, it's really odd. This car gets a rather slow start. It's very strange. But, oh well. And yeah, you can tell I'm still using Demule. I mean, I know there's some people who probably would be saying to me, if you're trying to emulate this, why don't you use Redream? The reason I don't use Redream for this game is because it doesn't emulate it entirely properly. It's not that far off. In fact, in some areas it's even better. Like, Redream has exceptional load times. So basically, like, all the transitions and stuff when going from a menu to the other is, like, cut down very notably so. Like, it's almost very similar to that of, like, the pretty poor PC port of Sega GT from like that they released a little while after the game came out on Dreamcast. The PC port's not really worth playing because it's very limited and graphically has issues, especially on modern hardware. It's probably better back on the hardware it was meant for, but I still somehow doubt that. Also, this is a 3-lap race around here for once, which is a nice change of pace. Yeah, but the main issue I don't use Redream actually comes down to is actually primarily the audio. It's an audio-based issue. It does not when you're racing, it's fine because the actual audio file it uses, but the menus, the way that's formatted, Redream doesn't emulate it correctly, so it sounds all weird and off. And as someone who's a bit OCD-ish, that kind of throws me off, which that's one of the reasons why I don't use Redream. Once Redream gets a bit further into development, though, and if it gets worked out better, I probably will end up switching over to it, because I do like a lot that it's done. But for now, the best way to play Sega GT on emulator is through DMule. And yes, I do say DMule. Null DC is not recommended for this game because it has some graphical issues, and the menu music, rather than sounding a bit off and weird in Redream, it doesn't work properly at all in Null DC. It'll play like a note every 2 seconds, so it's like really weird. This DMule is the only one to get it properly, so oh well, that is how it is. But who knows? Maybe before I finish this LP, maybe DMule, not DMule, well, maybe that too, but maybe Redream will actually get an update and it'll fix the problem. And if it does, I might have to use it. Apparently, the premium version, if I remember correctly, I think it's like what, $5 license, and then once you pay it, you get it for life. Kind of sounds like Mirrorless Action. You pay once, you have it forever. Mirrorless Action, by the way, is my backup recording tool. So if like Shadowplay is not working, which is my usual recording tool, I would just use Mirrorless Action because it works really well. But because Shadowplay, tends to work every time for my needs, I just tend to use that because it's very easy to use and doesn't really affect performance that much, and does a pretty good job with recordings. So that's why I've been using it. But yeah, like apparently the whole thing with Redream though is like the premium one, you get like additional features, like you can make the graphics look a bit like really smooth and higher quality, like kind of like as if you were trying to upscale it somewhat. So yeah, not the smoothest lap around here, but still well over a second faster than the fastest lap, so we're probably pretty comfortable in the first place. Yes, pretty comfortable indeed. 3.5 seconds. Oh yeah, the MRS actually did go faster than the CRX this time. I'm still surprised it's so far down, though. Is it like one with not a lot of power? Actually, that would probably be the reason, then. It's probably the 140 horsepower one. I'm pretty sure they made one close to 200, though. But I don't remember if it's in this game or not. I'm pretty sure it is. I just can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it doesn't matter. The TT for me is working very well because, having 225 horsepower in a car where I've reduced the weight, put racing tires on, and four-wheel drive, you kind of have all that combination of things. It tends to work pretty well. Well, except when I do that, because I'm smart. Yeah, I actually do admit, I wish more racing games kind of still did these like special color variant on like prize vehicles and stuff, because they're always just kind of interesting to get when you unlock them, because they're just really interesting. Just kind of that kind of thing where it's like you get like a version of the vehicle you thought you were never supposed to get, and you end up getting it. Now, of course, the one that still eludes me is that green Honda Z Turbo. The guide I have been looking at says you're supposed to get it from a certain event, and I've just never been able to get it. I don't know how I'm supposed to get it. Like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or whatnot. But, I just never been able to get it. But considering I already had an orange Z Turbo, which is already a special color variant, it's not like that important. And besides, the Z Turbo is not even the best E-Class car in the game, so it's not really much loss there for not having it. All I know is just it exists. And of course I know it exists because I have done the thing to like a one make with it, and it does show up. My guess is the guide is probably wrong. You're probably supposed to unlock it from somewhere else, and it just hasn't been adjusted to mention that. I really wouldn't be surprised. But whatever. I wish, sometimes I wish money was never really a factor with me, because going back to Dreamcast, if I could, I would definitely make a lot of definitely make some upgrades to my Dreamcast. If anyone who follows the Dreamcast, you might have heard of something called GDEMU, which is basically like this kind of quote-unquote emulation tool. Like that's a mod for the Dreamcast where you plug it into the expansion, like the port of where the disk drive used to go. And it basically, what it does is it has like software on it, and you put like a little SD card in there with all your games and stuff, and you can play games off the SD card, and it's like way faster to do it and a much easier thing. It doesn't, and because it's not on the disk drive, it means it basically prolongs the lifespan of your Dreamcast. And then there's also stuff I want to do, like there's like HDMI options for the best video quality. Of course, there's like the easy, like if you're on a budget route, you can just get like a pound HD link cable, which work okay, but they're not the best option out there. But for those who don't have a lot to spend, it is definitely a good place to start. There's of course also the Gecko from the Bahar Brothers, which is a very excellent VGA to HDMI box. But the best method that came recently from a pretty I would say pretty talented modder, Citrus 3000 PSI. He has made an internal mod called DC HDMI, and it is amazing. If you had like the internal skills to mod it, you could get like a whole bunch of really neat features. You can line double it up to 960p, or you can have it to 1080p to fit the screen. And it looks beautiful. It is a true digital to digital output. And the guy's even starting to work on digital for PlayStation 2. I'm excited for that, because holy shit, the PlayStation 2 could use something like that. Anyways, $3,000 for that. Clean bonus of $1,000. Or clean bonus, a 2 race bonus, winning. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, and an extra $7,000 from the sponsors. With the final track being Snowy Mountain Reverse. But yeah, it's just, I really wish I just kind of easily had the money to get it. It's like, the problem is it's expensive. It's like $100. I think it's like what, $150 US for that DC HDMI. And some people would be like, it's not even worth justifying the cost, because then you'd have to like open it up and mod and stuff. It's like, it might not be worth it. I mean, for me, I think it's worth it just because there is no better way you're gonna get any like higher video quality than that. It's just superb, and if I had the money, I would spend it to get that mod, because it's just, it's so beautiful. Though I probably have to get someone to do it for me, because I'm not good with internal modding, like soldering and whatnot. The GDEMU would not be a problem, because that's actually quite easy to do, like something I could even do. But the thing with like DC HDMI, that's out of my range. Yeah, a lot of these like digital things, the fact that he's doing the PlayStation 2 is really neat, because that thing, PlayStation 2's kind of suffered over the years from like video quality. Like even getting like component cables, it makes it look better, but PlayStation 2's actual quality, not the graphics it produces, just like the clarity, how sharp the image looks, it's never really been that great with that. And also, I should mention, by the way, first place in pole position by almost 5.5 seconds. Yeah, it's crazy. In fact, it actually might be 5.5 seconds. But yep, get my pole position bonus there, and we get into the race. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. There's things I want to get. Like, I want to get like one of those. What are they called again? Like the open source scan converter. Because man, it would, at least at the time being, be the best way to use to get like the best video quality out of the PlayStation 2. Because you can do like line doubling, to make it like 960p. You have like bob deinterlacing, which makes it a bit shaky, but it does. It makes it a bit shaky, but it does like do a very good job of deinterlacing. And it's just the OSSC, the open source scan converter, it makes the image look phenomenal. It's absolutely gorgeous visuals. The only problem is it's really, really expensive. The only site I can find where it's listed, which must be where it's, I guess, you know, primarily where the person who makes them advertises to sell them, they're like £150 or something, like British pounds, like pound sterling. Canadian dollar, that translates to just over $280. So when you put like shipping costs and everything, that's probably gonna ramp it over 300 easily. It's just, oh man, it is very expensive, but god damn it, I want one. I mean, people could just say, well, why don't you just use, like, the pound HD link cable for the PlayStation 2? And the thing is, that cable's more better for PS1. But when it comes to PS2, it's just, it's okay. It does put it to a 720p image, so it does kind of work in some areas, but I don't know. I'm just not entirely convinced with that thing. The pound cable for the PS2 is, I think, most better used for the PS1. Because RGB output rather than YPB, CB, blah blah blah, all the letters. But yeah, apart from that though, I personally just think it's like really good. It's like it's really good for PS1 though. Like, it's not the best image quality, absolute best image quality. I think like a good quality like RGB SCART cable with an OSSC will give you a better quality, but again, that's an expensive route. It's a pound one for when you use it on PS1. It does actually do a very good job and costs way less. So, you know, it has its swings and roundabouts. They also made one recently for the Super Nintendo, which was really shocking, but I wasn't impressed. It didn't look very good to me, personally. So, oh well. There we go. That is that. Very easy win in 2 minutes, 43.9. Not sure why I said it like that, but whatever. So, 3,000 prize money and a 2,000 chain bonus, and 7,000 additional prize money. And we finished with a 27-point win because we won all 3 races. The Integra in second with 16, the Sylvia third with 14, the Pulsar fourth with 7, CRX fifth, 6, and the MRS last with 5. Well, there you go. Series champion, hell yep. So $30,000 bonus, and what do we get as a car? Ooh, now that's actually quite interesting. That is very, very interesting. I'm gonna take a quick look at that before I finish off with the part. Let's take a gander, shall we? Oh, right, it is still sorted by displacement, so I'm gonna sort it by when I get the car, because that makes it easier. Yes, the Toyota Altezza TRD racing model, basically like a raced out Altezza. This car actually exceeds the 1900cc, which is actually quite amusing, but still, this is a pretty interesting obtain. Like, just this raced out Altezza with a big wang and Altezza side thing. And red. Very red. 210 horsepower. So it's not too bad on the power output. Well, it weighs less than 3,000 pounds, which isn't too bad either. Yeah, not a bad price car. I would definitely have to say that. But that's gonna do it for today's part. Stay tuned for the next part, in which we will be covering the Snap Original Car Cup. But you might say we're covering that, but it just kind of hit. I do have a B-class license already, but actually, yeah, I don't need to do the A-class one yet. Okay, I'm getting myself confused. We'll be building a B-class original car to use for that event, so stay tuned for that. Oh, jeez. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content similar to this one. You can also come follow me over on Twitter, Twitch, or subscribe to my Patreon if you want to help support the channel. Or if you want to just, you know, give me a buck and be like, go get a sandwich or something. I don't know. Anyways, thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.